I'm so happy that I got to meet friends that I still talk to this day, and that I've explored much more about myself, what I'm capable of. And like I didn't think that me and Sebastian could get any closer, but I feel like with this lifestyle, we got super close, even like with COVID, that made us also strong, like together being apart, like during like the winter back home in Sweden and him being here. And also like me having my first baby here. I appreciate what the time here in America has taught me, and like what it made me like a better person.
You're listening to Breaking the Ice, a podcast and community created for wives and girlfriends of professional hockey players, but since has turned into so much more. Stories shared by women around the globe who come together for a sense of connection and community. You may be in the sports industry, a hockey parent, an athlete, or a person who just enjoys podcasts, but I can promise you, you'll be inspired by these women every single day, while we evolve through the tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts for all things hockey. And guess what? So much more. For women, by women, but especially for a hockey community. So lace them up and tune in for a new episode every Wednesday. Thanks for listening.
I don't even know what day it is right now. I feel like, just kidding, it's Monday. But I feel like when you get back from vacation, all of the days just kind of mold together. You know what I mean? Like, what time is it? What day is it? What year is it? I don't even know. Who knows anymore? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. My suitcase still is sitting here with clothes in it. And normally I'm like really quick about unpacking because I know that if I don't do it right away, it's gonna sit here for several days, which is exactly what happened. We got back from our vacation and man, traveling with a baby is exhausting. And I'm not complaining because, I mean, he had a couple rough days, but overall, like, he's pretty great. But it's tiring. And we got back in the evening time, so you can bet your ass I did not unpack my bag, which therefore is why it's still sitting here. We also wound up getting a new washing machine for those that were worried. And it's actually really nice. So now I'm just playing catch up, laundry, cleaning, all of that good stuff. We had a dog sitter come stay with our dogs, and for those that also have dogs, I know it can be kind of stressful to find a dog sitter, but we've always had really good experiences finding a dog sitter through this website here in Austria, and it's like pretty much the same thing as Rover. It's called tiersitter24.at, just your standard www address. But yeah, we did this the last couple years in Graz and then this year and found a really great dog sitter. So if you ever are going out of town, that's always how we find people, and it's always a good setup. So we came back and I don't know, it felt good to come back from vacation. I feel like when you're there for more than like 3 nights, you're like kind of ready to get home. So it felt good just to kind of get back in the routine and the swing of everything. Starting December 1st, I have a 12 days of giveaways planned for the holiday season. So I have partnered up with a lot of small businesses in our hockey community and bringing you an awesome giveaway for 12 days straight, which is so cool. There's still some time if you want to get involved. You can just send me a message. I'd love to add you into my plan that I have already going on. But yeah, it's a really great way to just network and meet other women in our hockey community. And also it's the time to give. So it's going to be awesome. So every day at 4 o'clock p.m. 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, new giveaways will be dropping, and you can enter as many times as you want. And obviously you just kind of have to go to the Instagram page and follow along for all of those details. Today on the podcast, I have Sandra joining me, and Sandra is from Sweden, and her husband, Sebastian Aho, he plays in the NHL for the New York Islanders. And this was a really fun episode. And actually, I was thinking about it, and I've never had someone who is European who plays in North America on the podcast yet. So it was really fun to hear her perspective on everything. So We talk about how he got drafted and she didn't want to go because she was, really comfortable with where she was at. She was with her friends and her family and she had a job, but ultimately she made the decision to leave and go with him, and she obviously doesn't regret it. But we talk about what that experience was like for her, leaving her comfort zone to go out of her home country to a completely different country, and how hard it is to plan your future when that's happening, as we all know. We also talk about how we are actually both more pessimistic than we are optimistic. So not necessarily just like negative Nancy's all the time, but kind of we want to prepare ourselves for the worst situation. So we talk about how we always see like, okay, what's the worst thing that can go wrong in this situation? And how we actually have to work really hard to be positive and like see the positives in the situations as well. So if this is you, you will definitely be able to relate to this conversation. Of course, we had to talk about COVID and what it was like for her getting into the US when everything was happening with that. She is also pregnant. They are due with their first child and having their baby in North America. So we talk about like what the healthcare was like the differences obviously in Sweden and a lot of places in Europe, the healthcare is completely free, whereas the US, as we all know, is not. We also talk about maternity leave. And, this is obviously a big, important topic that is being spoken about right now. And we talk about how unfair it is and like how Europe is definitely ahead of the times with supporting new moms. And that's something that the US really needs to step the F up on. We also talk about funny stories, funny cultural differences. We talk about tipping in the US and Europe. It's a funny conversation. We had a lot of laughs. So enjoy this episode. If you are listening, I would absolutely love it if you have not done yet to go subscribe, rate, and review to this podcast. I know that I probably sound like a broken record, but honestly, you guys, it makes a huge difference. And if you are listening every single week, that is honestly the biggest way that you can support me and the podcast is to go write a review for me. It makes a huge difference in like the longevity of the podcast, the future of the podcast, and me able to continue to do this long term. Sandra, welcome to Breaking the Ice. I am so excited to talk to you today. I know that we've kind of gone back and forth about having you come on the pod for a while, so I'm super pumped that we are finally doing it today. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, we are going to dive into all of the things. And I'm super excited because I actually was thinking to myself that I don't think I've had, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I've had someone that is from Europe play in North America on my podcast. So I'm super excited.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Like it's going to be awesome to hear, kind of like the different perspective from that front. I guess we'll just kind of start off with like where you're from and how you met your significant other. And we'll just kind of go from there. I feel like we're just going to naturally flow.
Yeah. So I'm from Sweden in Europe, obviously. In Sweden, I live like both me and my husband, we were born in Umeå. We met there 2010 when we were like 14 and 15. So we were like babies. And then when like he was going to school and play hockey for like another team, he moved away like a 2-hour drive from our hometown. And I finished school before I like moved to be with him. So we had like 3 years of like distant relationship, but we were still young and like I could still like take the bus there like on the weekends. So like we made it work. So when I finished school, I was like a medical assistant. I don't know if like from what I've heard, I don't know if it's like different here, like the work tasks that you have like on your work space, like on your when you're doing your work. But yeah, that's what I am. And then I studied to be a nurse while he was playing in the other like city when he was playing, and that was Skellefteå. And then he got drafted. And that day I actually like cried. I was like, I'm not like, I don't want to leave this town. Like I love it here. But he got drafted and we ended up like here in Long Island, where we are now. Like he played most of the years like in the farm team, the AHL team, like Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it there, like in Connecticut. Like we were talking about it, me and a friend, that like Connecticut would actually be like one of the places I actually like could see myself like having kids and like raise them, instead of like being in like the city of New York. For me,
Right.
that's like too stressful.
Right. Yeah. The big city life is not for everyone. I wouldn't say I'm really a city person either. I mean, it's always fun to visit and
Yeah.
stay for an extended time, but I don't know, for me when it comes to like settling down, I like a little bit, like I don't want, absolutely nothing going on, but a little bit
No.
more of a chill vibe.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I'm the same.
So okay, did you know that we played in Sweden?
I know I've like I think I saw it on your like on the Instagram, but I can't remember where it was.
Okay, well, let me tell you. It was in Tingsgrid. Do you know where that is?
Things to, yeah, I know.
Like, it was a very interesting experience. Have you ever been there?
No, I've never been it.
It was so tiny. There was only, I think, 2,000 people,
Yeah.
and there was really nothing going on, but we were really close to Karlskrona and Vikwa. I obviously do not pronounce those correctly, like how you would if you were Swedish,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I get you.
Yeah, so we went there all the time just because like we needed to get out of that tiny city. But yeah, I mean, I definitely wish when we were there that we kind of took more opportunity to see like things that were close by. Like we never made it to Stockholm and we never went to Copenhagen, which was pretty
Yeah.
close too. But you are from pretty like northern Sweden, right?
Yes, I am. So like I mean
Okay.
I've been to like Stockholm, but honestly I've never been to Copenhagen. I think I was like in Norway, like the city next to us, or like the land, whatever you go, like our neighbor,
Yeah.
Norway.
Yeah.
I've been there like once when I was a kid, but like I'm not that well traveled, like in even in Sweden, I feel like. I mean, I've been to Stockholm, but and Gothenburg, but that's like it. So
Yeah.
I don't blame you. It's hard. Like when you're like living your life, it's so easy to end up like, especially like with this lifestyle, it's so easy to end up like doing the same thing like over and over every day, even though like you have time to explore. You're just like, I don't know, I'm gonna relax today or do something like I've already done, because I don't know, you get so comfortable.
Oh yeah, I totally know what you mean. I feel like it's kind of one of those things where you like get kind of caught up in the motions. Like you
Yeah.
just have like a little routine and then it's kind of I was actually just telling one of the girls here, I feel like I'm kind of in that right now where I feel like I'm in my routine and I'm like, I need to get out and do something because it's you get kind of
Yeah.
stuck sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
He got drafted and you did not want to go, but you went.
No, no, I went. Yeah. I mean, even like at that point when he got drafted, I can't remember what year it was, but 5 years ago. This is our fifth year in the States. So at that point, like I was studying to be a nurse, and like he just signed 3 years for Skellefteå. And I was like, this is my life. Like I wanted to be there. It was close to my family, like a 2 hours drive, like all my friends. I was like, I've always been that kind of person that if I'm comfortable, like I want to know, like, oh, I can plan for the future. And then like having or being with Sebastian, my husband, that's like have been like hard on me sometimes, because like I can't really plan my future, because
Mhm.
you can't really plan this life. Like wherever hockey takes you, you go. It is hard sometimes, but like I don't want to complain about it, because I also like I choose this lifestyle too. Like I could have stayed home and like finished my studies and everything would be great too, but I know I like mentally I wouldn't be happy. I make my sacrifices now and he can make his later on, like
Yeah.
in our lives.
Oh yeah, I think that's how it works. Like eventually it will be full circle, but
Yeah.
that's really hard when you're in the middle of obviously like becoming a nurse, and so you didn't finish, and then you moved
No,
with
I
him.
didn't finish.
Did you ever feel like regret with that? I should have finished, or I wish I didn't, or did you feel like pretty confident with your decision to do that and knowing that you can go back and finish later?
Yeah, I always know that I can go back and finish later. So that was like comfortable, like a comfort for me that I like this wasn't it. Like, and especially like the school system in Sweden, like if you compare it to here, it it's not the same. Like I wouldn't lose like a lot of money, or like I did it for like no reason and stuff like that. So I feel like I was very comfortable with my decision, and like I don't at all regret it, because like it took me where I am now, and I where I work now. When I'm back home in Sweden, I work at this like child ward where we take care of like premature babies from week 30 to 18 years old, like kids. So, and I love my job now. And if I've studied, like if I've kept studying and stayed home, maybe I wouldn't have that job now. So I'm just like trying to think about it, like everything happens for a reason, even though like I could be like a big pessimist like most of the time, but like you have to like think about stuff like that. Like everything needs to happen for like for a reason. So
Yeah.
I'm learning to get there to think like that.
Do you feel like you're more pessimistic than optimistic, like just naturally, like your personality?
Yes,
I'm the
100%.
same.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
And like Sebastian, he's the optimist always. Like it could be everything. Like yesterday in bed I was like, okay, so like when we get home, like after the baby is born, like what happens if he gets like super sick, and what if he dies? And Seb was like, well, what if he's not dying? Like what if we will have a great life? And I was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Thank
Just
you for
like
pointing
me.
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you become a mom, like the worrying just never stops at that point,
No,
you
yeah.
know? No, that's funny because I'm totally the same way. Like, I mean, I'm definitely positive, but
Yeah.
I have to really try. Like I mean, it's not that I'm forcing myself. I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying, but it's like it's almost like I feel like I'm a realist. I'm like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen from this situation?
Yeah.
And it's whether or not I really need to like dwell on that, or if I can just be like, okay, cool, I'm moving on. Like I'm not going to attach myself to this emotion, but like this is
Yeah.
the worst outcome.
Yeah. You want to be prepared, like not like sitting there being like super happy and then everything goes to shit and you're like, oh, okay, what
Yeah,
if I, yeah. So I know,
exactly.
I get it
Yeah. Do you have anxiety at all?
sometimes, but like I don't think I have it like as much as it, that it becomes like a problem. Like
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
course, like sometimes, like especially like now they just went away, like or they just came home from a road trip for like 13 days, and I was like alone here still at the hotel. We finally got an apartment, we're moving soon, but like still at the hotel, like not that many friends here yet, and you're like so alone. That gives me like a weird feeling. Like of course I'm sad, like I miss my family, but it's not that I have like anxiety like every day, or like that it's actually like a big problem, but like yeah, I can relate to being like alone, feeling alone or sad, being, yeah.
Yeah, well, how pregnant are you right now?
29 weeks.
Okay. Okay, so you have some time. It goes by fast though. Those last like
Yeah, I know.
11 weeks, it's just like boom. They're
I
here and
know.
you're having a boy, right?
Yeah, I'm having a boy.
Okay, that's so exciting. So
Yeah.
obviously that's a whole aspect I want to talk about too, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But
Yeah.
so I want to ask you a couple more questions. So are you guys in the NHL right now?
Yeah, so he's always been like in the AHL team. And then with COVID, like last season, he was like in the taxi squad. I don't know if you heard it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like a crew of like hockey players that was supposed to like be stand-ins if someone got sick. So last season here, he was at the hotel. He was living at the hotel the full season. I
Oh my
stayed home
gosh.
for a while just because like I got a couple extra months at work. They wanted me to stay, so I was like, I'm gonna be like this like independent woman staying like in our cabin that we have back home in Sweden. Like I'm gonna be working for myself and like blah blah blah. That was like the hardest 3 months I've ever like lived. I don't know, that probably says a lot about me, like maybe not having like a lot of stuff happening in my life, but like being apart and like this the last winter back home in Sweden, we got so much snow. Living in the cabin, like the roads weren't like, what do you call it when they come and like take away the snow?
Plowed like the road,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah.
They weren't like no one did it, so like got stuck with my car in the snow, and I was so mad. I was like, this is your fault, like you should be home with me. But I mean, I did it. But yes, answer to your question, he's in the NHL now.
So then you finally last year, were you, yeah, like how did that work? So you guys are married. Did you have any issues getting into the US being Swedish with COVID?
uh that's all like also a fun story. Like we got married like in the courthouse because we like for the baby it's supposed to be easier, and like what I've heard like coming here this season, I've heard that like no girlfriends are allowed like because of COVID. So I was like super stressed out. I was like, I need to go with you, like especially having the baby, like I can't do this on my own. So we ended up getting married, and the team was supposed to help us get my new visa because the embassy in Sweden has been like closed and only taking like super special like cases. So the team helped me, and I was supposed to like, I got like a letter from like an, I don't know, someone super important. We got here together. First time we flew together here because I usually fly on my own like after camp. We flew here, and like the guy that was like taking care of us like in the line, so rude. Like I don't know, I think I've met like maybe one person like that's friendly in the border like ever, especially like traveling here being like from somewhere else. They
Yeah.
can be like horrible.
It's like that
And
in
he,
most places. I just feel like they don't
yeah,
like their jobs.
no they
I've
don't.
I've had some very awful experiences too.
It's horrible. Like the first year I ever got here, like this guy, I was taking into a room. This guy was like, "Who are you together with?" And I was like, "Sebastian Aho," and he was like, "I'm gonna look him up." Starts looking him up, and he was like, "He's pretty short to be in a defenseman." And I was like, "Yeah, what what should I answer to that? Like, what? I don't." That was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know.
What would you like me to
But yeah,
say?
now being married, it was easier to get in here, but like it was still had some problems. But now I can stay the full year instead of only 6 months, because like the visa I had before we were married, I could only stay 6 months. Then I had to leave the country. I don't know, it doesn't say for how many days. You can like either go home to Sweden, which I feel like was always the best option, or you could go to like Mexico or Canada.
Okay.
So now I can still like stay the whole season, which feels nice, because if I had the other visa, I would have to leave in February, which do I leave like, do I fly home with a like 1 month-year-old baby to Sweden, or what do I do? Like,
What have you done in the past with the visa? So you've always just gone back to Sweden for a little bit for a visit and then you came back?
yes, yeah, yeah. I've always like got like traveled home. Like 1 year I had a friend's baby shower, and like another year I just went home like to surprise everyone back home. It has been nice to like actually being able to like go home. Like now with COVID, I know a lot of people have been like pretty stuck, like can't go anywhere, and like family can't see them. And so I feel like that was a blessing in the sky, like the other years that hasn't been like COVID, to be able to go home, at least to have that option.
So when you were in your cabin for 3 months alone, at what point was that in the hockey season?
It was like from December to March. Like I came back here uh ending of February, and then like I stayed here until like end of May, and then he stayed because Islanders went to the playoffs.
Okay,
So
that's
I
right.
like was alone in the cabin, and then I got here, stayed here for like 4 months maybe, and then I flew home alone because he was like he had to stay here because of the team like going to the playoffs.
So well, the reason I keep asking about it is because I'm just curious, like if you had issues with COVID, because I know like for us coming into Europe, it was so hard, especially if you weren't married. I mean, that was pretty much a no way.
Yeah.
Like if you are not married,
Yeah.
you cannot come in the country because this is
Yeah.
for like if you are married and you're in a family with someone that's on a working visa, then you can come in, which was super
Yeah.
unfortunate because people basically got shoved into long distance that were not prepared for that at
Yeah.
all, which is so hard and frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I could like that's what I like I applaud everyone like doing long distance relationships because like I feel like I would no I wouldn't make it. Like of course I would, but like I would be so miserable, like and sad.
and
Like
the
I'm
time
so
difference.
yeah, no, even that like yeah.
The time
So
difference plus a
that's
hockey schedule. It's like, how do you
yeah, no.
even make the time?
No, where like time doesn't exist. Like it no.
Quality time that you're like that you try to connect over
Yeah.
FaceTime, but it's like, when is there even time with this major time difference
Yeah.
and then your crazy ass schedule?
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I feel like even like I talked to a friend about this. Like she's in the HL team now here, and we were talking about it because they did like a distant. She never came. She only visited once last season, and she said she was like, I only got more sad talking to them, like because the like, oh, what have you been doing? Like, oh yeah, no, nothing. Like I'm at the hotel, blah blah blah. And sometimes like calling and you just like you miss them so much, and when you're here to like hear their voice, you're just like, I can't. Like I'm gonna miss you more if I talk to you. Like
Yeah.
it's hard.
Let's just take a leave of absence for 3 months until we
Yeah,
see each other again.
so hard. Oh my god.
Obviously, you're pregnant. We tapped on that, but I want to go into that. Oh my goodness. So it's funny just because we're like totally swapped. Like I'm North American, had my baby in Europe. You're
Yeah.
European, had your baby. Would you say is that do you say you're Swedish or you say you're European? Is that a stupid question? Like you would still say you're European, right?
No, I would like it depends like what would the question, but I usually say that I'm Swedish. And then
Yeah.
if people like, where is that? And I was like, well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
People ask you where Sweden is.
Yeah, I feel like when I like the first year I ever came here, they're like, oh, Sweden, like, where's that? And when I talked to some people like about like traveling, some people didn't even have their like passport, like, oh, I have never been outside of like America. And I was like, oh, really?
No, yeah. Well, that was me. Like the first time I ever went
Yeah.
to Europe was when we went to Tingsgren.
Yeah. And you were
So
like, I'm never leaving America again.
I was like, I can't believe people come over here and play hockey. Like this is
Yeah.
crazy. Like I don't know. We thought we could push it out and we wound up coming back because we got 4 months in and we were just not happy in that town. But I know that so many people play in Sweden and absolutely love it. I
Yeah.
think it's harder in the smaller towns just because like
Yeah.
sometimes it's
Especially
just
being like not from Sweden. I feel like,
well, funny story is that people actually all thought I was Swedish because I'm really blonde.
yeah.
And I remember there was a few times where my husband and I would go out together and like there's just something like we were at the pharmacy once and my husband was like, "Oh, do you speak English?" And she said, "Yeah." And she spoke English to him, but then she looked at me and started speaking Swedish. And I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. Like I'm also
Yeah.
only
Like, I
English."
don't know that language. Stop.
Yeah, but I mean, like I am Swedish, like my heritage, but I
Oh,
don't
really?
speak any.
Yeah.
So it's always funny. But
Yeah.
did you guys plan to have your baby in North America? How are you feeling about it, being away from your family and your home country? So many questions.
Yeah. So many questions. Like I still have a lot of questions like to this day, like or like I still can't believe it. Like even like with the belly now, I'm just like, am I pregnant? Like rolling over in the bed, like, oh, I can't move. It's like, am I really pregnant? Like, are we sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It won't hit you till
it's
you're
been
giving
like
birth.
a roller coaster. No, I know. That's what people are keep like they keep telling me like when you get home like with the baby, then maybe you will like understand. It's been like a coaster of like feelings. We tried to have a baby for like over a year, and I was the one, like I've always been longing for having like kids, like ever since we met. Like I've been like ever since I was a kid, like I am the oldest of four siblings. And I've always like I love playing with dolls, and like I can't think about a time when I didn't want to have like a new baby sister or like something like that. So it's like when we didn't get pregnant right away, I was super stressed and pessimist, like as normal. Like I thought like this is never gonna happen. Like, and then during like COVID, like last season, when I was here right before I was like going back to Sweden, all of a sudden like I like my period was so weird, and I took this test and I was like, is this like this is positive? Like I'm pregnant. So, and then like I in that time, Sebi wasn't home. He was like at practice, or like maybe they had a game. I like immediately started to look at like birth calendar, like what month am I due? Like because I was like, I need to like to look this up, because it like even like with this like lifestyle, you don't want to have your kid like in the wrong time. And it feels so bad to say it, but like there is times where you're like, especially like with COVID now, I'm just like, I don't want to have the baby and like have to stay here longer than I have to, like I want to go home to my family. So
And
I'm
sorry, side
due.
note, when are you? Oh, yeah, you were just about to say it as I was
Yeah.
asking.
I'm due at 9th of January. So that's a good like,
It's a good time.
yeah, it's a good timing, because it also has like me being or both of us being like Swedish, we have to like fill out some paperwork, like get a passport, like a like a similar like social security number, but like a Swedish one. So I'm just like, I will have time. Like I will, if I would have had the baby like in May, and like even if they like would go to playoffs, that would be like short amount of time to actually like fix stuff. Because like that's what I feel like it's so different. Like obviously I haven't like had a baby in Sweden either, but I feel like me giving birth here, there's so much paperwork to do, like, and with the insurance, like they have to ask about everything, like is it okay if like I don't know, don't sue us. And I was like, you never sue people in Sweden. So I'm just like so overwhelmed with all the like paperwork, and but I'm figuring it out, like it's okay.
Well, that's funny because like I had to fill out so much paperwork being
Yeah.
American in Austria. So I'm curious if we were both in our home countries, if we would have to fill out as much paperwork. You know what I mean? Like it
I
might
don't
just
think
be,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you just get a birth certificate. I'm like, what else do you need
I
to fill
know.
out?
Oh yeah. And like you get that. And if you're married to the dad, you're like, yeah, he's the dad. If you're not married, I know in Sweden, like if you're not married and getting the kids, you have to go like to the courthouse and like sign a paper, like I am the dad. So that would have been it like in Sweden. But
So
yeah.
question about healthcare. Obviously in Sweden, the healthcare is free, and in
Yeah.
America, it's very much not free, as we all know.
Oh yeah.
So what does that come down to for you? I mean, like not price wise, but like, do you guys have to pay for anything? Is it covered? Like that would be really frustrating. I feel like if you did have to pay for it, knowing that it's free back
Yeah.
home.
I'm super, super thankful, because with him being on the NHL right now, uh, I haven't paid like anything. Like and I don't know if I'm supposed to, like, no, I'm not supposed to pay anything. Like a friend of mine, she gave birth like last year here, and she has the same insurance, and like she didn't pay like a thing.
Wow. That's
Uh,
amazing.
and I'm so grateful, and I feel like it's so like, if I try to think about it, like if I were an American, like living in America, if I wanted to have like 5 kids, maybe I couldn't because I can't afford it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like Sebi, he has 4 siblings. There are 5 kids total. And like his mom and dad, they both work like at like in with like at the hospital. And like they don't like earn super much money. So I feel like if they would have been living here, I don't think, like maybe they couldn't been able to have 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I
I
feel like
know. Well, even like
it's different here.
I've heard stories of women, and their kid has to go to their kid has to go to the NICU, and then say they're
Yeah,
there for a month. It's like $100,000. It's
it's
insane. It's
insane.
like, and how is anybody
Yeah.
supposed to afford that? Like,
Yeah, and I mean
what?
it's not that you plan to have your kids like premature, like I mean,
No. And it's like, it just seems unfair because then like people are
yeah.
in debt because of something
Yeah,
that
for
it's like,
rest of their life.
yeah. And it's like the kid, like baby had to go, into the NICU and like
Yeah.
to, for their safety and their health, but now
Yeah.
they're out $100,000. So it's so crazy. And I think it's really amazing. Like I know there's a lot of talk right now and I'm happy about it. And I'm still learning and like reading a bunch of articles, but like, there's really not a lot of support for new moms in America. And I think it's really
Yeah.
awesome just being on the other side of it and seeing how much support there is in Europe for new moms. It really is
Yeah.
amazing.
Even like the thing that they were discussing now, like America being like one of the only countries that doesn't have like maternity leave.
Mm-hmm. Which
I'm
is
just
messed up. It really
it's
is.
so messed up. Like how I understand, I completely understand that like a lot of moms are home with the babies because like what if you want to have like if you want to breastfeed your kid and you're not allowed to stay home for when the baby's like just born, like how
Yeah.
does it even work? Like it's so weird. Like, and for me seeing this from the perspective I have from like being as like a Swedish citizen, I'm just like, how is this even like, how is this the normal thing? I just don't get it. But like this is how it is, I guess. Like, and it's been like this, I don't know, it's probably I don't know if it's been like this forever.
Well, yeah, I think it has. And I think like people are really working really hard to try to make it not this way because the whole thing is like you shouldn't have to choose between like not earning an income and
Yeah.
having a child. Like if you've
Yeah.
been with a company for a while, like it's so sad to be like, okay, you have like 6 weeks off and then you have to come back to work. It's like 6 weeks is nothing. Like that first 3 months,
No.
like looking back in time, like it's a blur. Like you're so tired. It's like such a amazing time, obviously,
Yeah.
but at the
Yeah,
same
of
time,
course.
you're
Yeah.
so exhausted and
You're
like
learning, like,
exactly you're like overwhelmed. Like if you're, like maybe you're breastfeeding, like you said, and like you're figuring
yeah.
that out and you're up half the night, but then it's like you have to go to work after 6 weeks. It's insane. Do you know what it
Yeah,
is in
it's insane.
Sweden? Like how much time you have off?
I think you could have like a lot, like I think up to a year you can be home and get paid.
Wow. Wow.
Not
That's
like your
amazing.
full salary, but like a percentage of your salary. And it all depends on how much you have been working before you get pregnant too. So, but I think you can, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you could stay home for like a full year.
Yeah. Wow. That's like insanely amazing. I mean, it's like kind of shocking to me because you obviously just don't really hear that back
No,
home,
yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so much support. And even like over here, I've found that like there's just so much like at the malls here, you can go in and there's like huge, like I had to take Crosby into the mall because they shut off our water and I had to go to the bathroom.
Oh no.
I was like, I gotta go now. It was like 8:30,
Yeah.
like just ritual routine.
Yeah.
So I went in there and I went in the family bathroom and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, there was like a TV with like cartoons on, there was couches, there was a whole like nursing area, changing table, like
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like there's just really not, and I've seen that a little bit more and more in the US where they have like nursing um like rooms at the airport, which I think is cool, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely hoping that the US starts to incorporate these things because it's really nice to feel like, you know, you don't have to go in a bathroom stall to feed your baby if you're not comfortable
Yeah.
doing it out in public.
Yeah.
So it's really cool all the things I've seen over here in Europe.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like, if I would compare, like, it's probably not very easy to go like from the US to Sweden, and the opposite, like for me coming here too, is like it's different. But I feel like, not without like being biased, but I feel like the US is like years behind with the
With
health insurance, and like I
for
don't know, with
sure.
the how you look at women, and like I don't know, sometimes I just feel like get going US, you can do it, like
Mm-hmm.
come to your right, like yeah, I don't know.
Like it's funny, like because I agree with that, like for sure, with like certain things, like even like we've never had a female president ever.
Yeah, I
And
know,
like
yeah.
you look at around the world and like how many countries have women that are like running the countries, you know, but in the US it's like
Yeah.
crazy to have a female president, which it shouldn't be, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, there's
no.
so many things I see, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like sometimes I see things in Europe, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so behind the times. What are some other things
Yeah.
you've seen
No,
that
I
you
know.
feel,
It's probably so, yeah.
what are some things you've seen like in the US that you feel like are like behind the times of Europe?
Before, like I was like having this podcast, I was like writing down stuff that's like different from back home, and the first thing I that got into my head was like, if you go to a grocery store here, it's like you don't have like if you want an apple, like we have like some sorts of apples, but I feel like when you go to a store here, there's like millions of decisions, like do you want to have this or this or this? And I was like, in the beginning, I was so overwhelmed. Like, what do I pick? Like, I don't know which one is the best. Like, which one do I like? Do I hate that? Like, that
There's
was
too
like,
many options.
yeah, I know. That's what I felt like.
It's so funny that you say that because I feel like I come to the store here and I'm like, there's not enough options. But
I know. Yeah.
it's because we were each raised so differently, right? Like it's like you
Yeah.
came from like just it's like, okay, these are the choices. And then it's like too many. And then it's like we have too many, which is probably not necessary. But
Yeah.
then when we come here, we're like, wait, where's the more
Yeah.
choices?
It's
Oh my
like, I need
God.
more. Yeah.
It's funny
No.
how the grocery stores are so different in the
Yeah.
in the
Right.
US versus Europe.
Yeah. It is like, it's weird how different, even because like I feel like food should be like kind of like similar, like if you want pasta, or that would like you would have like similar brands, but there's so many like different brands that are like, when I came here I was like, oh my god, like what. Uh, but I mean, pasta is like a easy thing that you can't really screw up pasta that much, so
No, that's like when we got to Tingsred, that they were like, the store is closing in 15 minutes. Like the day we got there, we were like so sleep deprived and we went down and we were just
oh
like,
no.
grab what you know. We just
Yeah.
grabbed pasta and sauce, you know, because we're like going into the
Yeah.
store and it's like a different language and we're like, can't mess that up.
Yeah, no, you can't really mess that up, which is nice. Like then you all, because like I have friends like now that's in like they're in Russia, and I was like, what do you eat there? And she's like, well, we've been eating like kind of like normal food. And I was like, oh, okay, good. Because I was like, I don't know, because
Yeah.
like over there everything isn't like, because maybe like everything there is like it's on like, not, it's in Russian language, but I feel like
Which is a
for
hard
you.
language to even, I mean, it's like, how do you even know?
No, she uses like an app to like help her like translate it. But I guess like that's maybe how it is in Sweden too. But I feel like often on like a lot of stuff you have like an English like small translation thing. Or do you? Was it hard for you to like figuring out like grocery shopping in Sweden?
Well, yeah, it's Google Translate, and you just
Okay.
like you literally like can hold your camera up and it will translate it. It's really
Okay, that's
cool.
perfect. Okay, good. Good to
Yeah,
know.
you can even do like a voice translate. Like if someone's talking to you, you can like have them say it into your phone and it should translate it to the language, and you can translate any language to any language. I
Oh,
just feel
that's
like
awesome.
Russian, the writing is just so
Yeah,
like I
that's
have no
hard.
idea. I mean, that would be
No.
really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so do you have a dryer in North America?
A dryer, like a washer and a dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
like, do you have a dryer back home in Sweden?
no, like when I've like all the apartments we lived in, like I've never like I wasn't like really used to using the dryer. Like even like when I was living home, we only had a washer. Like we hanged up all our laundry.
Uh-huh.
But now, like after like being here, I actually bought like a washer and a dryer combined because like now I can't like I love to dry my clothes. It's like the day doesn't like all have to be about laundry, you know?
Yep. That's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got lucky. We asked for a dryer this year and they gave us one last year because we obviously were having a baby, which is
Yeah.
so huge to have a dryer when you have it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to be folding a million, little tiny socks, and with how
No,
much
yeah.
they spit up and poop and whatever all over
Yeah,
their
no.
stuff when they're newborns. Like I can't even imagine not having a dryer. I was like, this is a necessity to life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you will
I
use
need
it all the
this.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you'll be
will.
thankful you have that. So is your family able to come out at all for the birth, or are they gonna just wait till the end of the
So
season?
I think like my mom for sure wants to come. I think my dad wants to come too. My mom, like, I'm gonna help her look up how to get like the ESTA visa, which like you stay for 90 days, but like she's obviously not gonna stay for 90 days, but like that's how long you're supposed, like you can't stay longer than that. That's like a tourist visa. So she wants to come. I don't know if she's coming like for the actual birth or like right after. We haven't like really like planned a trip yet, but like I'm helping her with the visa thing. And I'm like nervous for her to like fly on her own because like my parents aren't together. And I'm nervous for her to fly on her own. Like she obviously can talk English, but like if she's the best person at talking English, I don't know. But she will make it. Like
Yeah.
it's fine.
She just has to get on that plane, just sit on her seat,
I
and
know, yeah.
she will arrive.
Because I know that they opened the border now, so it makes it easier for people to come, especially like a lot like all of my friends and family back home are vaccinated, including me. So I'm just like being vaccinated and like showing like COVID test, and then you're good to go to come here. So I'm happy for that. Because it would be so like sad if like we wouldn't have any guest coming this like season, especially like with
Mhm.
the baby coming. It would be so fun to have someone here to like not feel alone about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it'll be really nice to like have your mom there to, you know,
Yeah,
take the baby
it's her
and
first like grandkid too, so she's super
oh,
excited.
that's so
Yeah.
fun. Do you guys have a name picked out or is it a secret?
No, we have been talking a lot, and like now we call the belly Isaac. Um,
Oh.
but what I've heard from my mother is that like I when I was in the belly, I was a Felicia, and when I came like when she had me, she's like, she doesn't look like a Felicia. She looks like a Sandra. So see, she changed her mind. So I was like, maybe if I'm gonna change my mind. But like we're going with Isaac for now because I know here in the States you have to kind of like have the name ready because back home you can wait like 3 months to send in the papers. So that's different too.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. That would be
Yeah.
like a long time to not have a name. Do people actually go that full 3 months?
Yeah, a friend of mine, like at my work, like where I work, her boyfriend and her, they were so like, I want to have this name. Like, no, I want to have this name. They actually had to flip a coin, like last week of the 3 months, and like he won, and they send in the paper.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah,
What? That
so
is
weird. Yeah, yeah.
crazy. Oh, so what
Like they were so like they could, yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
They couldn't like figure it out. Like she was like, I'm not gonna like this is the name I want, and he was like, no, I want this name. So they ended up like flipping a coin, and
Oh
he won.
man.
So
Well, lucky him.
respect for her. I mean, yeah.
I know. I feel like it's always hard to come up with a name. Like, I don't know, for us, we like before we found out really early. I paid a disgusting amount of money to find out the gender at like 10 weeks because I'm a
Yeah.
crazy person. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
polar opposite of like, we want to wait till the baby's born to know. I'm like, oh
No,
no,
you
like,
want to know. You want
which
to be able to plan once again. No,
exactly.
but
And like
like, yeah.
zero judgment. I'm always like so impressed when people do that. Like, I'm like, that's honestly amazing. Like, good for you,
Yeah.
not for me.
Yeah.
Like, because
No.
I couldn't do it. Like, I don't like to
Not
be
no.
surprised. Like, I just,
Yeah.
that gives me anxiety. So,
Yeah.
anyways, and I was like so excited to find out. So we found out at 10 weeks that it was a boy, but as like we were talking about it, I was like, we could not come up. We had our boy's name picked out. Like, we really liked Crosby. And then when
Yeah.
we found out it was a boy, we were like, it's Crosby, like,
Yeah.
period.
Okay. Yeah.
But with the girl, we like could not decide on a name. So I'm like, we're in trouble if we ever have a girl
Yeah.
because we could not, like, we just kept going back and forth, and like he didn't like
Yeah.
anything I was saying and I didn't like
Yeah.
he was
It
saying. I
is
was like,
hard. Yeah.
it's hard. And you both
Especially
have to
like,
love it.
yeah, and especially like you like associate names with someone or you're like, oh no, I can't do that name. Like I had a friend's like brother that like, no, I hate that name. It's so hard. Like especially you like you've met a lot of people. Like it's hard to find a name that you can't really like think about any like a clean name. Like it's
Yeah.
hard.
And are middle names a thing in Sweden?
Yes. So
Okay.
we're gonna have two middle names.
Okay. And that's pretty common, right? To have two middle names
Yeah.
and
I
yeah.
mean, I have two. He only has one, but yeah, it's a like it's a thing, and especially like I wanted to be like me thinking about like middle names. It's like an unwritten rule. Like it's an older like unwritten rule that you're supposed to like have something from both families. Like
Mhm.
I would have to have like a name from my side of the family and like also from his side of the family. So now we're taking a family name from his side of the family, but not from my family. But I feel like my parents aren't like they're not going to be like mad about it. So that's good.
Yeah, I always like middle names that are like of significance or like a family name. I always think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So are you feeling excited, nervous about the birth? Like, have no idea what to expect? Are you like overly prepared? Tell me where you're
I
at.
think I'm like I try to like look everything up and like even like the doctor told us like what hospital we're going to, and I was like, I want to go, like I want to take the car there and like drive there and see where it is, like to make sure. And this was like 4 weeks ago. So I feel like I am very prepared, but like also you can't be like too prepared. And
Hmm.
everyone's birth is different. So
So different.
yeah, like, and I mean, I hope to God that I could like have like a normal like birth. Uh, just because I feel like I want to have that experience like in my life. I've always been like I've been thinking about it for a long time. Even my youngest sister, she was telling me like, do you remember when you were like younger and I was like super young and you showed me like this disgusting pictures of like, because my mom had like a book about like giving birth, and I was like scrolling through it like and there was like very authentic like pictures of like actually woman like giving birth, and I was like, this looks cool. But now like of course I'm like nervous, like I know it's gonna hurt like hell,
Yeah.
but I'm just like right
I
now
mean,
I'm in the
everyone's
mindset.
different. Maybe it won't for you.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I'm excited, but also nervous, of course. Like
Well, I think
I'm,
it helps too that like you speak really fluent English, you know, so you'll really be
yeah,
easily able to communicate with the doctors, the nurses, and
yeah,
you know, that'll be really nice. And I think give you a peace of mind at least that you're able to like
yeah,
find that comfort, right? You know?
yeah. No, for sure. I like if I would have been doing it like in Russia where they barely speak English, I would be terrified. But here, like I know also like if Sebi is with me, like if I don't understand anything, I'm gonna ask him and like he's gonna ask and we can ask together. And it's like and like the doctor I've had like I'm seeing now, she's been like great to me and like I like I'm very like thankful. So I think when I tried to think about this like upcoming thing, like me giving birth, I tried to think positive, like for once, like just because if I think so much negative like about it, I think I would be more scared, you know?
Yeah. I think you have to just go into it with like an open mind and just know like you can't prepare and like what's going to happen
Yeah,
is going to happen. And yeah, it'll be great. I
yeah,
think like I was someone like I wanted to hear everyone's birth story to try to figure out how mine was going to go. And it's just like
yeah,
you just have no one ever knows, you know, but
yeah,
you definitely like there's a lot of anticipation for the first one, I think. Like even
yeah,
after I had the like my son, I think to myself, the second one, there's just something about which obviously that's not for a while, but like
yeah,
I just think to myself, like, I don't feel like worried. I don't know.
yeah,
It's like I went through it.
yeah,
I got through it. And yeah, it was hard as heck, but it's beautiful at the same time. And
yeah,
you would do it all over again if you want more kids because you wind up loving them so much, obviously. So
yeah.
I'm super excited for you. I think you'll have a really good experience.
I think so too. Like already now, like it's very different. Like that's like one of the things like here in America, if you have like a good insurance, they take such good care of you. Like I don't know, like back home, I feel like if someone from here like goes to Sweden and like have like a good experience, like in a good amount of, let's say like if you have a good amount of money too, like and you have a health insurance that are good, you can have like a probably like a royal like birth here. Like if you go back to Sweden, it's not like from what I've heard, like it's just normal. You're like you're coming in, you're going out, like it's nothing special. Like everyone has the same like health insurance, so you're just like one in the one in the mix, like
Hmm.
in a normal day. So I feel like I hope that I'm gonna be able to experience both to be able to like see what the difference were. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm happy. Like at the same time, like I wish all my friends and family could be here, but like I'm happy that it's gonna be like us two, like me and Sebi. Like we are gonna be the like it's gonna be like us, the team. Like we're the team and we're gonna like get through this together. So I'm looking forward to it.
I love that. Yeah. It is a really good, you know, bonding time for just like the two of you and to spend that time. Like it goes by so fast and you don't get it back
Yeah.
and you don't realize it till like goes by. So it'll be nice to just like have that quality time with each other and then like
Yeah.
have a couple visitors here and there. So that'll be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
so I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite part about living in North America?
I would say like all the people that I've been able to meet like during our time here, like I've had so much fun like being here, also like sad stories too, but like I'm so happy that I got to meet friends that like I still talk to this day, and like that I've explored much more about like myself, what I'm capable of. And like I didn't think that me and Sebastian could get any closer, but I feel like with this lifestyle, we got super close, even like with COVID, like that made us also strong, like together, like being apart, like during like the winter back home in Sweden and him being here, like, and also like me having my first baby here, like I appreciate like what the time here in America has taught me and like what it made me like it made me like a better person.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's really awesome that you know, it was a sacrifice for you to come to America, and that's amazing that you were able to do that, and it will come back full circle. And I
Yeah.
think like, yeah, it's all about perspective, and there are
Yeah.
hard times being away from family for sure, but I feel like
Yeah.
it definitely does teach you like so much about yourself. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I see like friends that are back home and they're like kind of still doing the same thing. And like, that's fine if that
Yeah.
works for them. But I'm like, gosh, like I can't imagine what my life would look like if I was still like just living the same life I did like back in when I was growing up in the same city. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this lifestyle just brings so much opportunity and growth for yourself. And
Yeah.
you do spend a lot of time with yourself.
Yeah.
So you really get to know yourself very well.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah. Do you have any funny stories as an expat living in North America?
Me actually coming here, I had no idea that you were supposed to like give tip, like to like
Oh.
waiters and so first time ever I was in the States, it wasn't actually like when we moved here. It was like a couple of years before visiting my friend. She did the same like travel as I am. Like she's together with a hockey player. So I visited her and she's like, you have to give tip. And I was like, no way. Like they have their salary. Like I'm not giving the extra money. But then I learned like they don't really have a salary like people do back home, like when you're waiting. And then I was like, do it like, and I for real think I have dyscalculia, like dyslexic, but in math, like numbers for me are like Greek. So it's been like hard. Like I'm getting there. Like now I'm like I can tip now for sure, but I think 2 years ago I was doing my nails at this salon, uh, and when I sit in the car having my nails done, like driving away, I was like, I paid more in tip than the actual price of like getting my nails done.
Oh
So I
no.
paid like doubled the price. So the lady comes running out, like knocks on my window. She's like, are you sure? Like, no, like, and I was like, yeah, no, yeah, I'm sure. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't like, no, I, yeah, I'm gonna take my money back. And like, I know in the car, I was like yelling to myself, I was like, Sebi will never make me forget this. I was like, can I even tell him? Like, what do I do? And then I was like, I just have to tell him. And like, I texted a friend in the team and she's like, you have to go back, like take your money back. And I was like, I can't, I never to this day has set my foot there. Like
That
I,
is so funny. Well, she must
yeah,
have just thought you were a very generous person.
yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So it's all, and it's like the reverse for me. Like, I feel like I always feel so awkward not tipping. Like, so
Yeah.
in Sweden, you don't tip, right? Like at all.
No,
And even like when I got
no,
my hair done in Sweden, you don't tip.
no.
And they say, no, you don't tip. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, thank you. Bye. Like it was just,
Yeah.
it feels like so, like I feel guilty. And
Yeah.
then in Austria, and if you're listening and you're Austrian or you've been in Austria for a really long time, I have heard that here leaving like anywhere from 1 to 5 euros is acceptable. Like, it just depends on like what, but it is funny
Okay.
with the tipping because I feel like I always struggle with like, when am I supposed to tip versus when am I not? Like
Yeah.
if I'm getting if
Yeah.
I'm just getting a coffee and someone's bringing it to my table, but like I'm just getting a coffee. Like, am I supposed to tip €2 every time? Like, it's so confusing.
That's
I don't
probably
know.
so confusing. Yeah. Because now here, at least I know like you're supposed to tip like almost everywhere. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, I mean, back home, I don't, if I'm like going through the Starbucks drive-through or something, like I don't tip.
no, yeah.
Or like, just like if I'm going, typically if I'm going up to like a counter, like I'm like, can I get a smoothie? I don't tip unless I have like cash, which I never do. And I'm like just getting rid of like the change or whatever.
Coins. Yeah. Yeah.
But like restaurants, if you're sitting down, like I always tip.
Yeah.
And then like for services, which is funny because you just don't do it as much over here, like as much as you would tip back home. But yeah, like hair, massages, nails, everything you tip like $15 to $25, which is it's a lot. So if you're listening and you want to tell us, let us know.
Tell us, please.
Yeah. I love chatting with you. It was so nice to just talk and hear about what your experience has been like so far. And I'm super excited for you and your next little edition coming soon. It's honestly going to creep up so quickly.
I think so too. Time flies.
It really does. So
thank you for having me.
Of course. If anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you on Instagram?
So my Instagram name is Boström Hoppa. So BOSTROM HOPPA.